Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ray. I'm doing well. Hopefully y'all being safe in this corona epidemic scenario. But I wanted to share a video, a testimony with y'all about my experiences with this corona. Towards the tail end of February, what ended up happening is my mom's had gotten sick. And she went to the emergency room, and I had gotten the call, so I went up there to go see her. That was towards the last 2 weeks in February. So afterwards, we had taken her out to eat or taken her to Walmart, one or the other. And she was in the back of the car. When she was in the back of the car, man, she let out this cough. It was a horrible, deep cough, really like monster cough. And that wave of hot air, and just, I felt stuff on the back of my head, my neck, and that wave of hot air just came right to me, sickness. And I knew that was not good. The kids wanted to bail out the car. They were like, ah, Ebola, Corona. They were like, let us out, let us out. So I let the windows down, put the blower on high. But I knew that that was not good. So what ended up happening is, of course, I ended up getting sick. But this is an unusual sickness. You know, the regular cold flu, you get a scratchy throat, clogged up nose. It progresses uh, till you get, you know, deeper symptoms. The throat becomes a lungs thing, and the nose becomes a mucus, everything. You know, you're clogged up like crazy. So that's the way you usually know. This one here, this one went directly for the esophagus and the lungs. Dude, then it worked its way backwards. Once the bronchioles, the lungs, the esophagus got messed up, jacked up, uh, then I started having throat, and then the nose with the phlegm and stuff. So it was really backwards. And the unusual thing is this. I mean, I had to, since I got sick, the kids were with me. I would run the air at 75 with the central fan running at all times to let fresh air in at all times. And I was cold as hell, shaking and shivering. And 75 is a good temperature, not to shake and shiver. You shouldn't be cold. So I knew, it was really getting bad. But I needed to keep them, safe by running fresh air through the house at all times. Even though it's part of my life, but it's going to be hectic. Like right now, the central fan is running to draw in fresh air from outside while they're here at all times. And so far, they haven't gotten sick, and it's been quite a spell, over a month now. But what ended up happening is that, by the way, you shouldn't run the AC heat at 75. The heat, it was heat then because it dries up the air and it makes it harder to breathe anyway. But if you can keep, if you have to, 71 is probably the best, if not lower, if you can tolerate. But, I was shaking even at 75, and that's unusual. But what ended up happening is that sucker, I could not breathe. It starts with coughing, uncontrollable coughing. All right. Coughing causes the esophagus to swell. Once the esophagus swells, that's when you start gasping for air. That's when you can't breathe. I've never had that. I mean, usually you get sick, your bronchitis, whatever. You'll have difficulty breathing, and you have a lot of mucus and phlegm, but you never have the airway being blocked or clogged or swollen up. This sucker swells up the airway so that you cannot get air. You basically are choking and gasping for air. And that's when um, it's emergency room territory, and that you feel like you need to. I felt like I need to go to emergency room. But what's interesting is that in the midst of this, people stepped up. My ex-wife, for example, she went ahead and brought me 2 cases of insure. Of course, I paid for it, but I couldn't get out to go get it. I mean, I know when I get sick, I usually get insured, ginger ale, soups, all that. I was incapacitated. I couldn't even get my medicine. My sister-in-law and my brother, my brother drove me to the hospital, to the urgent care. I went on March 5th urgent care. I'll tell you about that experience in a second. My sister-in-law, Gladys, brought soups. Sister-in-law, Marisol, soups, and my brother, Johnny, brought me stuff. I'm grateful. I couldn't get out. I couldn't do it. Not that I didn't have money to go get stuff. I just couldn't do it. Um, for example, one thing that I've learned now, in March 5th, they prescribe medication. Usually we get our medication from a 24-hour Walgreens up in Raleigh because it's 24 hours. The kids usually would get sick at any given moment in time, and you would have to take them to the hospital, go get some medicine, and whatever occurred, you would have to react. And a 24-hour pharmacy is the best. But what happens, like in this scenario, where the main caretaker gets sick and I couldn't drive to go get it? 10 days in to the illness, after I went to urgent care, I went ahead and my sister-in-law brought me medication. But it's interesting because they prescribe Tessalon or something like that. It's a coughing medicine. It stops you from coughing, whatever. And my sister-in-law Gladys had brought me NyQuil. Actually, the NyQuil worked better than the Tessalon, to tell you the truth. But those are things I don't have in the house on the regular. So they had brought it for me, the ultimate NyQuil, whatever. And that really helped later on. But let me get to this insurer. Now, the one day that I went to urgent care, I called my ex-wife, or text or whatever, asked her to bring me a case, big case of insurance. And she showed up just in time because I just couldn't breathe, whatever. And I drank 6 at one time before going to urgent care. By the time I got to urgent care, I felt like a new man. Not a new man, just felt a whole lot better. I was able to breathe again, whatever. But the insurers were helping to coat the esophagus and to stop the inflammation so that it allowed me to keep on breathing. Basically, you need to keep on breathing. That's the biggest thing with this illness. Now, once again, I went to March 5th to urgent care, but it's interesting. The protocol says that you're supposed to be tested for the flu, and then if you're not positive for the flu, then you get a corona test. No, not at the urgent care at night, though. Man, them mugs, that doctor was so scared of me. She had a flashlight from across the room. She was examining my throat. I'm like, how could you even? And I said to her, it's not my throat, it's my it's in my esophagus. I can't breathe. And but she wouldn't. She had a mask on, but she wouldn't go near me. You could see the fear in her eyes, and I understand. But the thing is, like for example, the intake nurse. I told her what my symptoms were, and we knew in the area that we had our first case of corona that weekend passed before I went to urgent care in Zebulon, and this lady, the clinic one who did the intake, she didn't have a mask on. I'm like, you're a brave soul, and really, in reality, that's a knucklehead. Um, it's like these church people believe, oh yeah, no weapon can form against me shall prosper, and so I'm gonna go ahead and expose myself to all these illnesses because God's gonna keep me safe. So you're an idiot, because even God's Old Testament, if you read it carefully, you had clean and unclean. So if you had an illness like leprosy, you were unclean and you were separated from the people. So clean and unclean, and certain things that when a priest declared you clean, that means you were, like for example, when women were going through menstrual, they were separated. So I don't understand how your misinterpretation of the Bible It's like if someone vomits and you're not gonna use gloves to pick it up, and you put it all up on your hands. You're not gonna wash your hands. Well, you know what? You are violating biblical principles because cleanliness is one principle of godliness. So you go ahead and tempt God all you want. Say, well, this illness is airborne. I mean, like in China, the unclean people was separated, removed from households, put in a different area. China made sense. Hmm. But continuing, so this doctor, right? She doesn't test me, whatever. At one point in time, I went ahead in the neighborhood in the middle of the night one time because I said I want to be tested for corona. It's like when I was feeling a little bit better, like 10 days later or something like that, like towards the 20th of March. I said, talking about all these corona testing places and all this other stuff, curbside testing. I said, let me go see if I can find one by the hospitals. Hospitals were empty. Parking lot were empty. There was no tents set up. I really want to be tested. So basically, I don't know if I have corona or had corona or I had the flu. My symptoms are more corona-like than anything. This is more of a respiratory thing than anything. So I believe I have it or had it. Uh, but um, the other thing is this: is that recuperation ensures if you can get yourself by the cases, at least 2 cases, and when you start gasping for air or coughing too much, take some of that to coat it down. I don't know what else you can use to coat. I mean, like one lady on the internet said, lemons. You know, she would eat raw lemons, which is fine. I mean, and seems like that goes back to that old sailor tradition of, um, when the sailors always carried lemons, oranges, and grapefruits because of the scurvy and stuff like that, because of the illnesses. So it sounds like lemons would be right. But I I did the vitamin C, 1,000 milligram per day. I I did the ginger ale, chicken noodle soup. You know, or a lot of soups, a lot of hot tea with lemon. But the best one is the Vaporub, Vicks Vaporub, the the thing that Hispanics label as the cure-all of everything. I put enough of that sucker on, and the other thing is this: is that with infections, there were days where my pillows, whatever, were covered, soaked in phlegm and sweat. Uh, so regular washing, take that stuff out and wash it on the regular. Uh, was on a daily basis. I would just strip my bed off the covers and take it to the laundry room, put the covers in there, lay down the fresh covers because then you reinfect yourself. but but just trying to let y'all know that it looks like it's survivable, but it's a power punch illness. Um, False sense of feeling better, and then all of a sudden you take a curve for the worse. I went up and down, and I've been going up and down. One night you go to bed, you're okay. The next day you're back, and you're feeling good. Then all of a sudden you, so it's really, and it's just weak. I've been weak lately. So yesterday was the first day I cooked a real meal. Oh my gosh, we've been, God has been good because people have been dropping off food, uh, checking in upon me and helping me out. So I haven't really had to cook a meal throughout this whole process. Um, and there's been food for the kids and that people bring stuff, so they've been eating. And the kids have been away from me at the initial, from like the 14th for about a week. They were with their moms. That little break helped out because I was pretty much at my worst. But when they came back, I rarely go out. I mean, self quarantine, yeah, self quarantine is just because I can't drive. Also, just can't get out. I mean, I'm just feeling too weak, not feeling safe to even drive myself. So, But when they had come back, I had to make sure they had food. So I went ahead and bought enough food to tide us over. And then with what people been bringing by, thank God people, they help. It's you know what it is to have a case of insurance delivered and it calms your symptoms down because you can't get out. That's awesome stuff. Or soups and was good. Oh my God, there was kid. My mom's came with my brother Edwin and Gladys, and they brought burritos for the kids, tacos, and soup for me, and and this that homemade stuff. This that good stuff. I mean, where it's not all processed or whatever. Where you chicken tastes like a chicken. And so especially Marisol soups, but um, it's just my brother had come down, uh, Johnny, and he drove me to urgent care. Thought nothing of it back in March 5th. Now you can't even go next to urgent care. I mean, they got strict. You got to make an appointment, and if all these regulations, no visitors, just you yourself, and just like all this stuff is like wow, it's totally changed. Um, within the span of a small amount of time, but just want to let you know that I'm feeling better, but I too have been affected by this corona. I believe I've had corona, whatever. But there is, if you're got kids in your house, one thing that ended up with me, I would get up, go to bed, get up, go to bed, get up, go to bed, getting up to get something to drink, go back to bed. So I stayed, even with the kids in the house, I stayed with my bedroom door closed most of the time and isolated basically in my own house. So they had to run in the house. And you know what that meant, right? Yeah, that meant Fortnite till about 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that meant breaking rules left and right because dad is incapacitated. Yeah, that meant a whole lot of other stuff. As a parent now, you know how that goes. But um, it's just um, can't emphasize enough. If you have central air and it's got an option for external fan, bring in air from the outside, and you got kids, keep that sucker running. Keep it running to bring in fresh air at all times. Because with sickness, you're coughing all the time. Coughing is launching bad air into the air, it's launching your germs into the air. That's exactly how I got sick anyway. So, but just be careful, especially if you got kids. Um, my ex-wife actually came and cleaned the house twice. Uh, my mom's came, Gladys came. So people have helped out, but it's a serious illness. I mean, so far I'm getting through it. But if you got vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams per day, you got to have something to go with your teas and your soups. Something like a cough suppressant, big time cough suppressant. Um, Mucinex. Um, I wish I had Dayquil and not just Nyquil. So, but something better than just you can't knock it out by itself. I mean, and separate even in your own house. Like I said, I've been running this air, and you know what's interesting? Been sick for over a month. The kids haven't gotten sick. Adriana, my daughter, has gotten the allergies thing. I mean, it's so yellow and pollen out there. I knew, and she started taking her Benadryl. But it's just bad. The pollen's real bad. So there's your typical illness. But then this illness here, the biggest demarcation for me is I've never had an illness where I've almost caught. I hadn't gone to urgent care in over 10 years. 2009 was the last time I went to emergency room or anything like that. For me. So 2009. That's about 10 years, 11 years. since I've been to doctor on the formal. And as they say, if he, as the kids say and everybody, if he goes to the doctor, that means something's wrong. Because I just don't go. I'm allergic to them. Hate doctors. Oof. Oof. And I tell doctors that when I go see them all the time. I'm allergic to you. So, but my annual is every 3 years. So that's how tell you how many times I go to the doctor. But just want to let you know certain tips, and yeah, it's more of a bronchial lungs thing, and it's deadly, dude. I mean, feeling like a fish out of water, just not being able to breathe. That's horrific, and that's the way it attacks. It's not like, oh, I'm sick, I'm coming down with a sore throat. Oh, I'm sick, I'm starting to get no, no. This sucker goes directly for your lungs, and it's crazy because that's why the whole thing that they announcing they need respirators. Yeah, because they need to incubate people to get them to breathe because that stuff attacks your lungs. I'm sorry. It's just not like your typical illness where you get sick, you get your sore throat, and then you possibly get pneumonia, and you possibly get the other. No, this sucker just goes ahead and it's like, I'm going to stop you from breathing. I'm going to stop your heart. At least, like I said, I'm not a medical professional. I haven't been tested for corona. And there's not enough tests. I mean, this government has totally been unprepared for this thing. I mean, I'm sorry. When I'll tell you the truth, we, the richest nation, seems like it had the worst in terms of preparedness. I mean, I think probably March 1st, you should have had probably martial law. That's it. Implement War Powers Act, period. I'm not sure how we're in the tail end of March, and today's March 31st, and tomorrow's April 1st, and you still don't have enough masks and enough tests. So no, and not enough ventilators. No, someone messed up, dude. And this thing was in China in December, and we have the biggest surveillance, so we know when a pencil drops in China. But you telling me we didn't know that this illness was coming in December? No, I think March 1st would have been the latest that you should have been implementing war powers acts and martial law and all that stuff. Really, probably should have been done in February. February 1st, you probably should have been having tough restrictions. Now, millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are sick and dying. That's failure, and you're picking up the pieces by. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna give everybody $1,000 to $100. That doesn't help if you were making $1,200 a week or whatever, or six. Or every 2 weeks you would have $1,000 to $100. So one check. I understand maybe the other stuff, the unemployment and the other stuff that combined it with everything, and yeah, but nothing is like having your life. Nothing is like not experiencing, not being able to breathe. So and then the school systems, we still have an economic recession. And you probably have depression, all them people, rich millionaires probably committing suicide or whatever because of the stock market. I think it could have been avoided, dude, if you would have started earlier. Sorry. February 1st, March at the latest first. But, it's, look who we had. He had no clue. That's all I got to say. Busy following politics. And just crazy. But I just want, again, y'all be safe. I'm feeling better. I'm about to cook another meal for my kids. Second meal in 2 days. But I'm feeling better. I'm coming through. Seems like more steady ups than downs. So the ups are more than the downs now. but it took over a month. Over a month. Be careful. Ensure vitamin C, ginger ale, etc., etc. And Vicks Vaporub. Vicks Vapor Rub. Bye.